Hey everyone, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, clouds of all ages. My name is Eno. I'm the Chief Vibes Officer over at Sanctum. Welcome to yet another edition of the Sanctum Forecast. It is the 15th forecast. I cannot believe that we've done so many of these already. We are hosting them on Wednesdays, sporadically based on team availability. But of course, I want to do as many of these as possible. Let's start, of course, with the warm hellos. We have W. Hello, W. You have the weirdest PFP. I love this PFP though. It's like a flog that got beat up by in Rocky or something. I'm not quite so sure what's going on over there. Zero X polite or X zero X P Solite. I do not know how to pronounce that. But Datsul, hey man, how are you? If you wanna, maybe let me know how to pronounce your username. Would really appreciate that. Who else do we have? We have Nick, of course. Hey Nick. Well, Nick is. I mean, that's not in that. This is his damn job. Nick, but Nick is smiling behind the camera. We have Ginga. Hello, Ginga, my friend. I know that we don't see eye to eye like ever, but that's okay because I absolutely love you, and I think it's good that we have sand in an oyster to make a pearl. So do always appreciate the constructive criticism. We have Maggle Darren. I do not know how to pronounce this, but I'm gonna go with Maggle Darren. Hey Darren, how are you? Good to see you. Not only that, but we have Zero X Heat. What's good, man? Bringing on the heat to the Sanctum Forecast and Killer Poe, Ginga for president. I don't disagree. It's always good to have somebody who thinks a little differently than you. And we have, of course, Yunta Labs. Yunta. I am doing horribly with the names today. Again, everyone, welcome to the Sanctum Forecast. Please drop a hello in the chat. Would like to say hi. If you're wondering why I look so disheveled, it's because I just got off a 15-hour plane ride from New York City to Korea. And yes, I am here doing this forecast because it's really important to keep you guys updated. And when I say that we're going to give you an update, we're going to give you an update. And I did promise that we'd be doing the stream on May 28th. We have many things to cover. Of course, some great things happened over in New York over the last week. Jupe, India. Hey, how you doing, guys? It's very, very good to see you. Okay, we're going to get this show started. So, of course, my name's Eno. And why are we here? Well, we go through the spiel every single week, but you know why we're here. We're here to talk about all the things in the Sanctosphere and what exactly is in the Sanctosphere. What does that mean? It means that we cover the most bullish news around Sanctum. It means that we talk about the most delightful products that are being built on Solana. And it means that we talk about the Sanctum governance machine. I know a lot of you have a lot of open questions about where we're going with governance. However, ASR has dropped. We will be talking about that very shortly. And of course, we're doing it all with the most earnest Cloud fam. So I'm going to take another quick pause over here and just say hello to a couple new friends. Cho. Good day, Clouds. Very good to see you. GM. And hey, Nick, you got to stop saying G Cloud. All right. We are destroying and killing all Cloud or GM derivatives. It's just, it's iCloud you or it's something else, but it's not G Cloud. Hey, Nick Fury. Nice to be here. New week, new forecast. I do agree. New week, new forecast. MD, big W, Cloud fam. Yeah, I think this week we packed up a couple of wins. We're gonna get right into that right now. Now, with the most earnest Cloud fam, we are here to build Sanctum together as one big family. If you were here last week and you were listening to FP, then you would know that he thrives on constructive criticism. So if you have anything that you want to say, you can either yell at me and I'll pass it on to FP, or you can just yell at FP directly. But we do believe that Sanctum cannot be built, on our own. It definitely requires help of the community. And if you look long term in terms of what we want to do with our roadmap, we have a lot more consumer stuff in the pipeline. Even though for the time being we have kind of transitioned over to B2B. Now, house rules, always have to go over these house rules. But number one, we need you to spam the chat, and I'm actually very happy with. Some of the performance of the chat today. Like people are actually talking. I appreciate that. Number two, we need you to think long term. Now look, the price of cloud is relevant in the sense that like we all want it to do well. Again, like all of my compensation is in cloud. I think I've talked about this before on the stream, but it's like I like all my compensation is in cloud. So like we need to, but that being said, it's like I don't obsess over short-term price action. Like I'm much more concerned about the fundamentals of Sanctum. Like, are we running a sound business? Like, are we profitable? Are we growing market share LSTs? Because eventually, all that value, in one way or another, will accrue to a cloud, right? So, like, we don't look at short-term price action. We look at long-term, and that's how you should invest is more for the long term. But I understand that this space encourages you to ape into meme coins. We are quite the opposite. I would like to think of myself at least as the anti-meme coin degen, but I am a degen to a degree. So also third house role, please be thoughtful and kind. I know it can be quite frustrating sometimes when things don't go the way that you'd like, and that's totally fine, as long as the disagreement is rooted in fact. So super happy to engage with you on that front. But if you start dropping F-bombs or being mean or snarky, then I will block you. And last but not least, have a good time, because if you're not having a good time, then why are you here at all? Okay, so of course, we do this every single week. We give 50 USDC to the best forecast thread that is written on. Thank you for that, honey. My wife is cheering in the background. She always loves to see who's the winner of the forecast thread this week. So, honey, are you excited to see who's the? She is absolutely pumped. She's excited. So, the winner of the $50 of USDC for the best forecast thread on X, of course, goes to Johnny. Johnny has actually changed his name. It previously used to be Crypto John. But now he's Johnny.friend. If you scan that QR code, then you can see an example of what a winning forecast thread recap looks like. Johnny, thank you so much for your participation as always. You are always in my in my timeline because you tagged me. All you folks tag me on these threads, and I absolutely love them. It's just pages and pages and pages of things to read. Not just the thread itself, but also the comments that come with it. And Johnny, I think, had some really impressive and great engagement on this tweet. Over 100 likes, if I'm not mistaken. And that's not the way that we determine who wins or not. But certainly this time, Johnny was quite successful in his effort to recap the last Sanctum forecast. So thank you so much for that, Johnny. And he is, of course, a two-time winner, which is very rare. I think the only person he still hasn't broken the record, though. The record is by Web3 Roy. I don't know if Roy is here right now, but he's a three-time winner. Three-peat, the literal LeBron James of Sanctum forecast recap threads. So thank you so much for that. And Johnny, congratulations again on your two-time win, and hope to see you playing next time. All right, so moving forward. Today's agenda, of course, we're going to start with Lightning Strike, which is all the latest and greatest updates to Sanctum itself. It used to be much more around consumer product, but as I've mentioned before, like we've made some material changes to Sanctum. Namely, what's changed at Sanctum is that we've kind of made this soft transition from pure B2C plays to more B2B plays. And I can talk about that. If anybody has any questions, by the way, about Sanctum strategy, what we're focused on, and what exactly we care about these days. We talk about it literally every week. But if you still don't know and it's your first time attending, like that's totally fine. Just let us know in the comments. Just checking the comments real quick. Multiply INF on Camino was basically a dream come true for me. Yes, absolutely. That was a huge, I'd say, upgrade to, and like an example of, look, say at Sanctum, we talk all the time about how LSTs are strictly better than native staking, right? And one of the core arguments that we have for why LSTs are strictly better than native staking is because you get to use it in DeFi, right? And up until now, I feel like that promise has been more or less theoretical. But now that Camino has launched Camino version 2, and they have this multiply, we can list INF for multiply. We have been working on this for months, by the way. But yeah, now you can multiply INF or LST yields on Camino. It's not just a dream come true for W. That rhymes. I love that. But it's a dream come true for many users. We've been driving a lot of deposits that way. And it's not just, INF, but also I think Jupsol as well. So that's obviously been a huge, improvement to the LST ecosystem, is having products that are highly desired. Because like there's a lot of ways that you can use INF, but I think multiply is one of the use cases that makes the most sense. So anyways, Camino, thank you so much for working with us. And if you're a user of the oh man, you guys are Coletta. Hi guys. You guys, hi Coletta. It's good to see you. But you guys are spoiling the stuff. Okay, I got to keep going, otherwise you folks are going to spoil everything. But Chocho says, for me, 1 year anniversary in Sanctum community, still loyal to my clouds. Chocho, thank you so much for that. Happy 1 year anniversary. I have not even hit my 1 year anniversary. I have not been in the Sanctum community. I've been a fan of the Sanctum team for a very long time, but I was an active participant until 3 months ago. So, it's good to be a part of the Sanctum community. Moving on, of course, we're going to talk about what to expect going forward. So starting off with Lightning Strike, ba-boom, number one. So this is a post by our dear friend Alkine, who also works at Sanctum, and he's highlighting some of the benefits of using INF, and I just think it's worth talking about like all the improvements that INF has made over the last few months. So number one, INF is the highest performing LST, 15% better than the second best. That is not a juiced number. That is not fiction. That is not numbers on a screen. That is real. We are 15% better than the second best LST, and it's been that way for a while. Okay, so if you are holding, there are plenty of valid reasons to hold other LSTs, by the way, just depending on like what your thesis and your strategies are. But if you're strictly looking for the highest yield, it makes so much sense to hold INF, and depending on your risk, profile, you also might want to consider using multiply. By the way, I want to be very clear here. Using Camino multiply does come with its own set of risks. So, do your own research. Number one is you have to trust Camino as a platform, right? So that if you don't trust Camino as a platform, then you shouldn't be using the multiply product. But that being said, plenty of I have to be careful what I say here, but hundreds of thousands of people do. It's a good product, but at the same time, previous history does not indicate future results, right? So we can't be 100% sure. So there is a little bit of risk there. And number two, I believe for a multiply product for an LST, it's a little different than other leveraged positions because it's soul over soul, right? It's not like shitcoin over USDC, right? So because it's soul denominated, the real risk here for a leveraged product, let's say Camino multiply for INF, is if the borrow rate for INF exceeds the yield for the LST, right? So if you're earning let's say 11% yield on your LST, but then the borrow rate for your LST becomes 30-40%, then that means that you're not earning enough APY to justify the borrow cost of looping your INF, which would be a really strange scenario. I actually myself have a hard time wrapping my head around when that would happen. That seems like more of a hypothetical concern, but it is something that you should be aware of, right? Even hypothetical concerns, this space is so crazy, you never know what's going to happen. So even hypothetical concerns, you should factor them into your risk model. And if you're like me, you'll be like, okay, it's hypothetical. I appreciate the argument, but I feel safe parking my money, right? So that's for someone like me. But there are other folks who don't want to take on additional smart contract risk with the platform. And number two, are unwilling to take on funding rate risk or borrow risk. So if you're looping your INF to earn more yield, you are borrowing more INF. And if for whatever reason the cost of borrowing is 40%, but you're only earning 11% for that INF, you would get wrecked, right? But it will also be very strange for INF to be at a borrow rate of 40%, but the APY is only 11. That would be that I really struggle to think of when that might be the case. But it is possible though, right? It is totally theoretically possible. So just wanted to throw that out there. Killer Poe says there is a risk on any platform. It's just third-party risk. True, but still needs to be said. INF Army infinity to infinity, absolutely. And you should know that Alkine spends way too much time optimizing INF. That's his job. So I'm glad that he's doing it, but he does spend an inordinate amount of time making sure that it's absolutely perfect and it's giving you the best possible yield on Solana. And honestly, Alkine is the brainchild and the mastermind of getting it to be the most performant that it's ever been in history. So really appreciate that. Ginga says INF Soul, one-click loop, borrow Soul, and resupply as INF for boosted yield. Yes, absolutely. There are other announcements here that you guys in the comments are spoiling. Thank you so much. Chef Gunny says, Sanctum, Bosh. We love Sanctum, absolutely. Multiply is an absolutely beautiful product. The best LST that's ever been launched. It's the best. So yeah, you should definitely consider using the Multiply and INF product. It is absolutely a work of wonder. Moving on. Okay, so you guys have already spoiled this in the comments. I really appreciate that, by the way. But the first one to spoil it is Genga, of course, who said, "Cool DFDV announcement." Same goes for Coletta, who shortly also said, "Love the DFD." You don't sound like that at all. I have no idea why I'm imitating you that way, Coletta. I apologize. But he loved the DFDV announcement. This is huge. TVO will get even bigger. For those of you who do not know what DeFi Development Corp was, it was a company called Janover. And Janover became famous for being one of the first companies ever to employ a SOL strategy in the same flavor as, this is a lot of words, they copy traded Michael Saylor, okay? Michael Saylor is running the strategy with this company of his called MicroStrategies, and they don't do anything except for just buy Bitcoin. Bitcoin up, doesn't matter, buy Bitcoin. Bitcoin down, doesn't matter, buy Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going sideways, doesn't matter, buy Bitcoin. So that's what MicroStrategies does. And that's precisely what, and there's a bunch of other companies now that are deploying the same strategy, but with assets with more upside. So, for example, Solana. Like, I don't know where you guys sit on the philosophical spectrum of where Bitcoin is going to be. Like, maybe you truly believe that Bitcoin is going to be $1 trillion per Bitcoin, which sounds a little ludicrous to me. But if you're in the middle of the curve like me, if you're mid curve, you probably believe that Solana has more upside than Bitcoin, right? Like it's much easier to get a 5x on Solana than it would be to get a 5x on Bitcoin. Now, again, reasonable people can disagree. There are, I'm sure, Bitcoin maxis who would bite my head off, clip this, and say like, these Solana nerds don't know anything about the future of Bitcoin. In which case, I would say I agree. I don't buy into the same stuff that the Bitcoin maxis do. But that's why a lot of companies are employing a MicroStrategies-like approach to their treasuries. So instead of hodling U.S. dollars, who wants to do that, or hodling Bitcoin, they're holding Solana instead, SOL, S-O-L. So DFDV obviously is one of the bigger SOL bags out there who's trying to attract institutional capital. And again, DFDV announces adoption of DFDV SOL LST, becomes the first public company to invest in LSTs. That is absolutely true. And I actually got one of their stickers. It's like wake up. It's like sleep, wake up, stack Solana. That's the DFDV playbook. And obviously we want that distribution through LSTs. So this is freaking awesome. I'm going to stop myself from cursing a little too much. But yeah, DFDV SOL is here. We are very happy for this. Some digits also is the one who has been yelling at us on the sidelines. He's like, you should talk to DFDV. Well, unbeknownst to me, FP had actually already been having those conversations with them, some digits. So it's very good to see progress on that front. So that is a huge announcement for us and means, potentially millions of more SOL. Speaking of which, I'm going to share my screen right now. Actually, that's probably not a good idea. So we've just hit, I keep track of our TVL incessantly, but for the last couple of days, I've been traveling again from New York to Korea. While I was on the plane, we finally hit 11 million SOL. So that is absolutely phenomenal. And I think the multiply product actually has a lot to do with that, growing our SOL bag. So we hit 10 million. A couple of times, and we dip back down to 8, and then now we're back to 11. So yeah, I mean, the staking game, it springboards back and forth. But the most important thing is whether or not you see steady growth over time. And it's very clear that Sanctum, at least since I joined, and even before I joined, has been demonstrating very slow and steady growth in the LSTs. Actually, I shouldn't even say slow. Like when I joined, it was at 8 million SOL. Guys, that's like 8 million SOL. Now it's at 11 million SOL, which is, I mean, that's almost a 40% increase, and like our TVL with current SOL prices is close to $2 billion, right? Like our TVL for Sanctum is close to $2 billion. I don't think we get enough credit for that. It has not been slow growth. Like we've been growing like at least 1 million SOL a month for the last 3 months, which is insane. Like that's pretty crazy. And that has a lot to do with our new strategy, which I've alluded to and talked about ad nauseum, not only by myself, but with FP as well. is we are hyper focused since I'd say a couple of months ago to grow Sanctum's TVL. The internal target is to grow it to 30 million stake by the end of the year. I am personally targeting 50 million stake because I think the best way to get to 30 million is to target 50 million. But yeah, we're going very, very hard on getting more Sol staked through Sanctum LSTs. That has been the goal since around the beginning of this year. I'd say about mid to late February. And we've been deploying that strategy, and it's been doing very well. And why does that matter for you as a cloud holder? If you're a cloud holder and you're watching this and you go like, I don't give a shit. I don't care. I do not care that Sanctum TVL has reached almost $2 billion. Well, that's where you're wrong, my friend, because more TVL means more fees for Sanctum. We make it through a variety of ways. Of course, we make it through a 2.5% cut of all the epoch rewards. In addition to that, there's also LST to LST swaps. I think over 90% of LST to LST swaps are done through Sanctum. And so I just mean that it makes a lot of the more revenue for Sanctum means good things that we can do for cloud. It means good things that we can do for community. It means good things that we can do for everybody. It means even more resources to plan out Wonderland 2. We do have quite a lot of resources on the team now. It was previously a 5-person team at literally 1 year ago. And a year later, we're at 17 people and we're still growing. But that team is mostly concerned about core and sales of that core product. And also a secret redacted initiative that you guys still don't know about, and an acquisition we still haven't announced. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff cooking at Sanctum that you guys are not aware of. And if you were here last week, you probably already know the DL or the down low, which is that FP is waiting to share all of those things. In fact, I was very frustrated at Accelerate this week because I wanted to announce a bunch of stuff in New York, but just the timing didn't play out right. And I think that in a month or two, you guys will be very pleasantly surprised with this redacted initiative that we have. But my point being is that why should you care about the growth of Sanctum TVL or the growth of Sanctum as a business? Because it means more revenue for us, means good things that we can do for everybody. That is why. And quite frankly, it's a lot easier for us to grow 1 million sold in TVL with a single partnership than it is with. You could build consumer product, and we do care a lot about users. And in fact, the future of Sanctum is retail. But if we're talking about short term, what is the most high impact thing we can do for the next 6 months, right? That will just materially change the face of the company, just give us millions of more dollars in revenue. What's the one thing that we could do? It's B2B sales, right? So we want to kill it all the way to 30 million, if not 50 million sold by the end of the year. And then I think we'll be in a really good place revenue wise, especially if we see Sol prices pumping. As you know, we earn our epoch rewards in Sol, so you're not in USDC, of course. So if Sol is pumping, that means even more revenue for Sanctum, which means more good things that we can do for cloud. 11 is a magical number. I couldn't agree more. Presumably, I will skip over that. Will they swap all their stake Sol and DFDV Sol? Hey guys, do me a favor. Whenever you see a DeFi development corp post, just be like, when swap all Sol into DFDV Sol. That's what I. Let's start spamming their social media posts and let them know the people want it. Not only the people want it, but the cloud fam. So I do believe that is a huge W. And moving on, oh my goodness, there's so many things to cover. ASR round 1 has went live. We had a couple of kerfuffles or some issues with the claiming process, but I think that's all sorted out now. And from what I've been seeing on the timeline, for people who have participated in ASR round 1, they got 50% increase in their cloud bag in the last 3 to 4 months. Now, that's all great, and I'm so happy for Cloud Fam. We had Nick run a sentiment analysis around ASR and kind of see how people are feeling about it. In fact, if you have any remarks, either positive or negative or about ASR, I actually do want to see the comments. I'm scrolling the StreamYard comments are completely broken and horrible, and sometimes they get bunched up at the top. But still, I want you guys to keep, if you have any comments about ASR, you did retweet the announcement. I missed the little cartoon thing. For what stack I see, don't think I see anything. Any questions about ASR? Okay. All right. Well, if you guys have any questions about ASR, please let me know. But yeah, just to let you know, like it's been fairly successful, I think, because it was underfarmed. Not everybody was paying attention to governance, but I have heard some real complaints, right? So there's definitely half and half, right? I'm not. It's actually not half and half. It's pretty much like I want to say 95-5. It's like 95% of people are happy because they participated and then they got like a 50% increase in their cloud bag. But then there's also folks, who didn't know that they were supposed to vote or weren't aware of what qualified voting was. Qualified voting, we talked about it. I mean, no less than I want to say I don't want to be hyperbolic, but on at least four, if not five, Sanctum forecasts. I don't know if you guys remember this, but like I had talked incessantly about like how you had to vote using the same wallet that you are staking with, and like voting was absolutely critical, and that you needed at least $10 in volume, either for or against. It could be USDC or Cloud. Like I'm not so sure if I'm crazy. I'm the only one who I don't know. I don't know. I feel like we put a lot of effort into making people understand what ASR means. Like ASR means active staking rewards, right? And there are some people who staked and they didn't participate, and then they expected some portion of cloud, and like this makes me super uncomfortable. I'll be honest with you. It feels super weird. Because on the one hand, like I'm very empathetic, like as a person, and so like I can understand the frustration of, bro, I put in 50,000 cloud or whatever the bag is, right? But like I I I put 50,000 cloud, and then I didn't vote with it, right? And there were only two votes, so it's kind of like I missed those, and now I don't get active staking rewards. I can understand why, from his perspective, it feels unfair. Um, from our perspective, and I have a few community members who I owe a call with. I won't dox them here, but like I do know, if you are watching this, I want you to know that I'm aware that I need to have a conversation with you. But like honestly, how it feels from our side is we put in weeks of work to make sure that people understood like how ASR works. Like even on the UI, like it's like, oh, you need to vote with at least $10. Like it's not much, but like you have to do it at least that. Um, like that's we put it on Twitter, we put it in the shorts, like blasting it on the timeline, talking about it in Discord and the Telegram, like every available channel where we could talk about Sanctum governance. I feel like we did. Um, So yeah, if you're wondering like why this portion of the forecast is like a little stilted and a little awkward for me, it's because like I don't really know what to tell these people. It's like you need to participate to get active staking rewards. Like if you're not active, you don't get staking rewards. But I do understand why, for someone it's all like, well, but it's just like Jupiter, right? It's like you could stake, but if you don't vote with it, it's like it doesn't mean anything. Like you have to vote. Um, no, it's not just a sob story. I truly I think that there are plenty of good reasons why people don't vote, like because they're busy or stuff happens in their life. Um, yeah, so I don't want to be full on like screw you to these people, you suck, like you don't, like I feel bad for them, like I really do. I feel horrible. It doesn't feel well, I mean, Ginga, who's famously a critic of what we do, which I think is fair. But yeah, comms were more than good enough on the importance of voting. Can't put your money in and not do research. But A for active, yeah. But still, I mean, look, I would take any suggestions about like what we can do to make this more obvious. I don't know if it means that we have to put like a huge warning, like when you stake, it's like if you do not vote, you will not get rewards. But yeah, no, that's it's a bit unfortunate. So I really feel for people. But there is ASR round two coming, guys. And obviously I think that now that people have seen 50% increases in their cloud bag, they'll probably be farming the crap out of ASR round two. Uh but yeah. Um Active voter stake, AVSR, which is more at Kuka. It's very good to see you again, Tuto. I would love if there was information on Cloud in the docs. It no longer exists. I'll look into that, Killer Poe. We'll definitely look into that. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't have that. Um, so when is the next vote? That is a very good question. That was asked 2 weeks ago. So we are putting a pause on governance votes. ASR will continue. Because we're trying to figure out like what the soul of Sanctum. By the way, Sanctum governance isn't going anywhere. It's just a matter of like getting it done right. And quite frankly, like our energies have been completely consumed by Accelerate and institutional sales, of which I think we were able to close a few, but can't disclose those until a little bit later. So speaking of Accelerate, these are some updates I'd love to give. FP gave a talk at Accelerate. He looks very handsome here. My favorite stories about FP over at Accelerate is that no one recognized him. Like people who have worked with him for years could not recognize him in person because he cut his hair off and he took his glasses off. And at some point he got a little annoyed. He's like, "How come you guys cannot, recognize me? Like all I did was cut my hair." And then my response to that was like, "Bro, it's like if 99% of people are telling you that they couldn't recognize you because you've gotten an amazing new haircut and you don't have the glasses, maybe that's the market is giving you feedback that, you do look very, very different." And he does. He looks very handsome. He looks very, very good here. He went a little bit into his story last week as to why he cut his hair. But yeah, obviously the market, I think, was right. He looks better with the haircut. Over here, he's wearing a Iron Forge hoodie, looking good it's not a hoodie exactly, it's a puffer vest. And that QR code, by the way, is for his talk on YouTube. It's only 7 minutes, and it's actually hilarious. He dropped 4 fucks in the he dropped 4 F-bombs on stage. He's the only founder. I was emceeing the event. I was hosting the event on the West Coast stage. I had seen, many speakers, and I'm telling you that like none of them dropped F-bombs. It was just FP. And FP actually changed his talk literally like 48 hours before he was supposed to give it. He's like, "You know what? I want to give a spicy talk. I want to talk about all this grift that we see inside Solana and how we can change it." So he gave this talk about how to grift your users and dump on retail. Obviously, it's not something you're supposed to do. He's saying like these are all the things that people do to grift you. And so it's only 7 minutes. It's very energetic. When I was sitting in the crowd listening to that talk, it was one of the few talks where people actually put down their phones to listen, and people were actually laughing and paying attention. Whereas like with most talks, no offense to all my friends at Accelerate who presented, but nobody paid attention to your shit because it's too polished. So whereas FP speaks from the heart, he always does. And so like that's a great talk to watch. It's like half comedy, half learnings. So if you want to learn more, just scan that QR code. Very nice. And before we go into the next update as to what's going on in the Sanctosphere, I am going to play you this video. You know I love a good video.
Hi everyone, my name's Eno. I'm the Chief Vibes Officer over at Sanctum. Behind me, you can see we've had a very successful liquid pitch night for Sanctum, as well as our partners. That includes Jupiter, Bonk, Drift, Orca, Titan, MetaDAO. All sorts of players have come here just to talk about their projects and what you can look forward to with them.
So this is an opportunity for projects to pitch both institutional and retail investors who are interested in learning a little bit more about the various products and their offerings. It's a great opportunity to really just get out in front of people, talk a little bit about yourselves, and have a great night afterwards.
It's always important to get a chance to connect with community members and really have discussion around what you're building, because ultimately in crypto, it's a community effort.
Number one, we want to make sure that we put blue chip protocols in front of liquid funds so they can get more liquidity. And number two, we want to make sure that liquid funds can come to events like these and tell their boss that they did their job. In just 1 or 2 hours, they can listen to all the top protocols in Solana, give their pitch as to why their native token makes sense to invest in. So thank you very much for joining the Inner Sanctum.
Yeah. So we had we're starting a new event series called the Inner Sanctum, Liquid Pitch Night, and I have to give a really special thank you to the founders and participants of the Inner Sanctum. So that includes, of course, Jupiter, Bonk, Drift, MetaDAO, Orca, and Titan. It was actually I my wife was also at that event, and she overheard somebody say like, "Oh my god, like we don't need to hear pitches from these people. Like these people are the biggest protocols on Solana." And then another person replied, "Oh, this is just Sanctum flexing," which is so not true. It was not a flex. It was simply we had liquid funds. It was about 60% of the participants of that night are allocators, right? So they allocate capital either for their liquid fund or their VC. And those people ended up following up with Jupiter, Bonk, Drift, MetaDAO, Orca, Titan, and ourselves. And a lot of people kind of wonder like what the hell it is that we do for cloud. And we're going to start talking. We're going to be talking a lot more about cloud going forward in the future. Any hesitance by the Sanctum team to talk about cloud has purely been for legal concern. We're not quite so sure like we want to talk positively about the token, but we also don't want to be financially irresponsible. Like we don't want to like just tell people ape, like when the price is down, DCA, when the price is up, DCA, when the price is sideways, DCA, like, we want people to be rational investors, right? And we want to give you rational reasons to invest, to be very clear. But like, yes, again, the whole purpose of a liquid pitch night is to talk to people with huge bags and then to get them to to get them to buy your thesis. Like, why should you buy Cloud? Why should you buy Jupe? Why should you buy Bonk? Why should you buy Drift or Meta or Orca? Like, why should you buy any of those tokens? And that's why you have a pitch night like this. And this is why we were hyper focused in New York. And I'm not quite so sure if we if we convince some folks, but I do know that Cloud is holding up okay. And we're seeing some recovery there, and it's showing some. I think there's more confidence in cloud now, and it's good to get the Whisper network to start talking about cloud as well as our partners, our friends. So we intend to do these all around the world. This Inner Sanctum was just one of many. But that being said, FP actually gave me a little sass, a little attitude. He's like, no. We have the Inner Sanctum for investors and for blue chip protocols, but we also need something for community. So now I have that on my plate. I have no idea when I'm going to plan our first real like community event. Jupiter had their first community meetup in New York, and I've been going to Jupiter side events since they were 10 people, and back then they were crappy. They were they were tiny little like here's a burger and a beer coupon side events, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But like obviously like in New York they had like a 300 person golfing night, which was like absolutely insane. And so I suppose at some point Sanctum's going to start doing events like that for community, right? Like obviously not just to pay for everyone's booze, but to say thank you to people who have been with us on the journey. And especially when things look uncertain, like everything looks very uncertain. I understand that. But again, these are some of the things that we're working on. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that I'm not even allowed to share. This is just the public facing stuff. But yeah, we had our first very successful liquid pitch night. I think we had 70 people in attendance. It could have been more, but by my eye, I eyeballed it around like 70%. And looking at the check-in data, about 60% of that were allocators. So very good to meet those folks. If you guys have any names for what our side event should be for the community, I think Inner Sanctum is absolutely perfect for investors. I am very curious what you guys think in terms of what the name should be for the community event. But yeah, so Inner Sanctum was a large success in New York. What to expect going forward. So putting this out here one more time, we are giving access to special access to FP as well as the Sanctum founders for people who hold over 1 million cloud. Yes, that means we need to verify you, but if you're watching this, really encourage you to join us here, right? You will get direct access to the founders. You'll be able to give us your 2 cents on what Sanctum is doing well or not well. We've had a lot of conversations over the last couple of weeks with other founders as well about how they go about talking and marketing their token, which we want to do, but again, want to do in a very responsible way. And of course, we have best forecast thread gets 50 USDC. So we're going to be continuing that program. And the last but not least, the next forecast is going to be June 18th, which is 3 weeks from now. And you're like, oh my God, 3 weeks from now, bro, I got to cook. I'm on the sales team now. So like we got to get that 11 million sold over to 30 million, if not 50 million by the end of the year. So that means that, I mean, these forecasts are not a low effort production. These take a lot of time to plan out. So we will be having them a little bit more infrequently. I think we've already kind of covered this in the past, but yeah, the next forecast is going to be on June 18th, 3 weeks from now. If you have any questions in the meantime, please just yell at me on Twitter. Like, I think I'm pretty responsible. I'm pretty responsive and responsible, of course, on Twitter. Telegram too. Not hard to find my Telegram address. People who know. Okay. I think we covered it. Outer Sanctum. I think we should just keep the community name as Cloud Fam. It's the best. Cloud, no worries. DFDV will end up with at least 5% of Sol supply at some point, and it's going to be through DFDV Sol, which would be good for Cloud. And if you want that to be the case, enter Cloud Fam. I want you guys to look, guys. I've never asked people to do this before, but I'm going to do it now. I need you to spam DFDV and let them know that you want them to grow their DFDV Sol bag. Cloud Coast, I think that's a pretty good one. Cloud Cabal, that's a bit of a risky pick, Kuka. That's a bit risky, but I do like it. I love you all. Ooh, sanctuaries. Okay, so this was before my time. This is before I joined Sanctum. There was somebody that I was trying to hire to run the sanctuaries, but now he's doing really cool stuff. His name's Chris. He used to work for Super Team. And now he's working on something called Solana on Tour, and I'm very happy for him. That's going super well. But sanctuaries, I think sanctuaries is nice. The sanctuary. You have inner sanctum and you have sanctuaries, right? Yeah, sanctuaries here in Milan. I love that. Yeah, sanctuaries are good. Cloud Fam stay out. Wait, this isn't Ferris Bueller's, bro. All right, who else we got? Okay. Oh, Crypto Jester. I love Crypto Jester. He's like, gotta go. Bye. Okay. Well, this has been a very private chat. What is going on here? Okay. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for can we get the pets back now? How that's a Wonderland 2 question. I cannot answer that. Killer Poe is trying to get me fired. I can't answer that question, bro. Okay, Kuka, Chocho, the rest of the Cloud Fam, Nick, thank you so much for joining us for this week's broadcast of Sanctum Forecast. I guess 2 things I want to leave you guys with. When we do ASR number 2, you have to vote. Okay, I've said this a million times, but I will say this again. ASR stands for active staking rewards. It's not passive staking rewards. So if you stake and you don't vote, it means you don't get ASR, which is a shame because it was 50% ROI for the first voting. So I know you guys probably don't want to spread that because you want more cloud, but it's good to get more holders and people interested. So like if you know people who you should get them involved into ASR because like we have some, again, season 2, the ASR part 2 is going to be very juicy. And do not forget that $10 minimum, says Tiggles. I 100% agree. You need a $10 million minimum. Super worth it. I know that there were concerns about, oh my God, my trains are getting arbitraged away by. You got 50% increase in your ASR. I think you're fine. So yeah, we love to vote, says Chocho. I super agree with that and appreciate that. Nick, yeah, Nick is an absolute Chad. Nick has been having a really rough couple of weeks because I think I've been giving him too much work. I think I've been abusing him a little bit. So if you could do us a favor and just put a W in the chat for Nick, W Nick. I think that would really help get his spirits a little bit higher. So if you guys could do me a favor and just tell Nick what a great job he's doing over at Sanctum, would super appreciate that. W's in the chat for Nick. Tiggles, W Nick. I totally agree. W Nick. We freaking love Nick. So yeah, Nick, I'm gonna bring you on. You okay with that? All right, I'm gonna do that. Hey Nick, how are you?
Hey, all good.
You okay? Yeah, you okay, man?
Yeah, Oh, good.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not too. Nate says W. Nick is the glue. I do agree. Nick is a glue guy. He makes things happen. People like me are not worth very much. I'm just a. Anybody can do this, but actually doing the actual work is hard. He's currently in the middle of a cloud audit, which isn't officially announced, but I don't care. I'm going to talk about it right here. Another W for Nick by Magaldarin and Polite. So light. But yeah, we're doing it. You want to tell the people a little bit about the cloud audit, Nick?
Yeah, basically we are trying to do an audit for the cloud so that we provide more transparency for all the cloud holders and for the community, right? Because we don't want the community to have any doubts or have any worries about cloud. So because we are not doing anything shady. So what if we just do a cloud audit to prove that and to showcase to the community that, yeah, it is a good asset to hold and you're in safe hands, so don't worry about it. And yeah, it'll be out soon. No promises when it'll be out, but it will be out. So yeah, that's what I've been working on, and stay tuned for it.
Yeah. So Nick is absolutely right. We get a lot of FUD, quite frankly. We have people who share random screenshots of wallets, and they go, "Is this you dumping?" And it's like, no, that is not us. And to be fair, I don't think that I know for a fact in the past, it's not that we haven't been transparent. It's just that we haven't had time, to do a proper cloud audit. But now we're putting a lot of care and love and attention into making sure that you guys understand, who's holding cloud, especially from the company's perspective, so you can see if we're dumping or not. So yeah, that's what the cloud audit is for. We will obviously provide a more comprehensive report in the future. But guys, that is not an easy job, okay? Like having to track down all the activity as well as the wallets that are involved and have that, in a format that people respect is a lot of work. And so that's why Nick, deserves all of our love and praise. Thank you so much for your time, Nick. I know what's your job, but it's what you get paid for. So thank you for doing your job. But it's a hard job, and I think a lot of times it's always good to give people their flowers and let them know they're doing a good job. So, Nick, you want to close out the forecast?
Yeah, we'll see you. Wait, what's the date again? 12th of June?
18th. No. Don't start cutting down, bro. Don't start confusing people.
18th of June. Yeah, my bad. I don't have the notes up. Yeah, 18th of June. I'll see you guys next time.
All right. See ya. Bye.
Bye.